my name is Shoup, and I am a architecture fourth year with a sustainability co-major. I chose 3D printing because I believe it's becoming prominent in society, and I wanted to sort of understand the basics of it and what it's capable of. Same with Rhino, I believe it's a really important software to understand, both for school and future career, and that it's really helpful for learning how to design many objects from furniture, jewelry, even to architecture. So I chose both of those just to for a better understanding for myself because I've never really used them before. To get into it, I have 3 case studies. They cover a variety of projects, varying scales, and it really shows how 3D printing is versatile and helpful in many ways. So the first one are coral skeletons. They're crafted from calcium carbonate, which is really fascinating because it is a very prominent resource, and they were able to harness that material and use it for this project, so it would replace other more harmful and unsustainable materials that other companies might try to use for this project. So what they were doing here is they created these forms, and it's meant to sort of replace the coral that is being bleached so that the marine life can still be resilient. It's definitely not a long-term solution, hopefully, but it's what we have going on right now as the marine life is being depleted. So one thing that they're having trouble with, this company, is finding larger printers. So they're trying to partner with people that have a large format binder jet to create larger objects to sort of really encompass a broader area. The next one is this project. They're creating a whole community of 3D printed homes. They believe that the 3D printed homes are more energy efficient, provide less waste, they are resilient and affordable, and that they really provide design freedom for the person who will be living there. And this also solves some labor shortages and material shortages. So those are all advantages to 3D printing. This really is at a large scale, so you would have to have very large printers and a lot of materials to go into this. So it's really just a new way to build, basically. It's another option. It won't replace traditional building, but this is just another way that it can happen. The last project is this 3D printed wheelchair. This is definitely people-centric. It's by a London studio called Layer, and they partnered with Materialise 3D printing company. It's customizable, and their hope was that their product is a tool to improve the quality of life of wheelchair users. They use 2 materials, which are semi-transparent resin and thermoplastic polyurethane. For this project, they really looked at the drawbacks of other chairs on the market and tried to really talk to consumers to understand what they need in a wheelchair, which, to make it more personalized, this is really interesting looking forward at other products on the market that can become personalized as well. And I've already seen it really happening with earbuds specifically, but I'm sure there's other products that are gearing towards more personalization. To me, this seems like they could possibly produce waste, since the objects would not be shareable necessarily anymore, and that once one person's done with it, it can't be reused necessarily. But that's something that we'll get to when we get to with this technology. So getting into my project, I was inspired to create a set of objects that explore different types of connections that can strengthen children's understanding of architecture. So I wanted to work with movable joints and static connections. I sort of investigated products that are on the market, but I unfortunately was unable to fully put time into designing what I originally had in mind. So the project sort of turned into the bottom photo. I had 1 week to design and create my Rhino file, and 1 week to troubleshoot and 3D print. I used the tutorial videos in the 4 weeks previous to this start, um, and they helped immensely. One was sort of just on the basic interface of Rhino, and the other one was on the specific process of making sure the object in Rhino was ready to be 3D printed. So troubleshooting, I ran into some problems with Rhino just because I couldn't download it again on my laptop, since I already had used the free trial. So I had to use the studio computers, which worked magnificently. And so, since it was my first time really using Rhino, I chose more simplistic shapes, and I was able to make most of them without trouble, but I had to get a friend to help me with some of them, and also just using the basic interface. It's a little tricky once you actually get into it, but once I got help, it was much, much easier. So overall, modeling went pretty smoothly, and it was enjoyable, almost. So I sort of really just learned the basic side of Rhino. There's so much more complexity to it that I just don't understand yet, and it would take a lot of practice and time to really get into all those little nitty-gritties of the program, just like anything, but this is definitely a start. So once I finished modeling, I was able to review the 3D printing tutorial to make sure that my project was ready to be exported, and one thing they really made sure that was necessary, that it had to be a closed poly surface, so just like one object that was completely closed. So once I did that, I was able to export it and take it to the makerspace in King Library, and there I was able to use the program Cura to adjust the settings of the 3D printer. They were really helpful. I was able to fit 3 objects on one printer at a time. So both print sessions were about 6 hours, and it was really overall very satisfying to see them being printed, and overall holding the objects once they were done. So here's a little video of the start of them getting printed. So I just had to stay there for the first 30 minutes. And then after that, I was free to leave and come pick them up when they were done and start the next one. So overall, some of the objects don't quite fit together as well as I'd like. So if I was ever to reprint the projects, I would do some troubleshooting to just sort of get them to fit better, maybe make the peg a little longer, different sizes, we'll see. But overall, my project ended up being 6 individual objects that are able to fit together to form a cube. I use pegs as the connection to fit them together, and there's only pegs where they would touch another, so this can be a strategy to solving the puzzle, potentially. I had some friends play around with it, and I received reviews such as, "I felt so playful right now, it's not even funny, and I'm taking my time with it, things will make sense eventually." So I'm happy how it turned out, because even if it wasn't my original goal, it's still a challenging puzzle, and it takes time to figure out how it fits together. And I really did also accomplish my goal of understanding just the basics of how to 3D print and use Rhino. So I'm very excited about this project, and I'm glad that it's over. So thank you for coming to my little TED Talk. Alright.